Hello and welcome to the garage. This is my BMW F650GS Dakar, and we're going to make a few videos of me changing the clutch plates and the water pump as a precautionary measure for my upcoming long trip to Mongolia and back, and then also as a clever modification of replacing this rigid oil return for a flexible one to allow it to run around the front here and not be an issue should this part need removing. Okay, so I've drained all the oil out, taking my time, done it nice and neatly. Next, just going to drop out all the coolant and get to the water pump first, and then we'll get the cover off of this. Now we have the propeller of the water pump. Behind here is the seals, which are an issue on this bike, which causes the leaking. I haven't had any leaking problem yet, but as I said, it's a precautionary measure. Just tie this up out the way somewhere. So now we've got the cover out the way. Get you to the pump, and I'm just going to remove the clutch gear lever, and then you got the clutch cable reset, and then also we'll get in and do the banjo nut for the rigid oil return pipe there. So this, along with this one here, you have to remove the bolt completely to be able to lift the item out. Oh my god, that was a lot of effort. So I'm also going to have to remove the foot plate here. Okay, so complete pain in the arse, but to get to the banjo bolt fitting here, which is part of the rigid oil return pipe, I'm going to have to take off all my sump guard, 2 crush washers, and a banjo nut. And then when I remove the clutch cover here, I'll be able to get this solid pipe out, hopefully, which is also just bolted on at the top there, I think. So we'll have a look at that now. So yeah, just up in the top here, just down here amongst these pipes is, if you can see that, just the end of my finger there, is a torque headed bolt to undo, and that will completely free up the rigid oil return pipe. Just to go like that. Right, so I've freed up the solid return oil pipe here, and now we're going to have to remove the cover after I've released off the starter motor here. Then to undo the cover, it's just a case of undoing all of these torque head bolts, go around the plate there, and we'll be able to see some clutch. Okay, so pretty much in sheer annoyance of not being able to get it off without taking the exhaust off, which I can't be bothered to do, and start a hacksaw through the solid oil return pipe. Might as well, it's got to be done anyway, so just choosing this section here, easy access, got a rag there, catch any of the filings. Okay, so I've hacked myself through the pipe there with one of these. Wasn't too hard. Got that through and that's loose. Now it should hopefully just pull off. I'm not so sure, but we'll see. There we go, and that will come off with it. Ta-da! We have it all. Okay, so I've had a good look inside there. Cleaned up around the edges. It all looks good. Teeth look fine, and all these parts. This one here is plastic teeth for the water pump, which apparently is sometimes an issue, but on mine, this one looks absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do now, pop this off with a screwdriver. There's a pin, knock the pin out, and then we can take out the whole water pump propeller and replace it with a new one. So that easy actually, just pops off. And this pin slides out, keep that because you don't get a new one of them. And then slide on out the propeller. Yeah, we've got a couple of lines here, but you can just feel it where the washers to used as bearings mark into the propeller blade. So yeah, here's a new one. Here's a new propeller and shaft, and there's the old one. Not much in it, but some marking, which is, when that gets bad enough, that causes the seals to leak, and then you got water going into the oil, or just water escaping from somewhere else, I believe. And it's not a dire thing, but it does need to be kept on top of. Easy as that. There's quite a bit of crud in there. Okay, so give it a little bit of clean up. Now it's time to refit the seals. This pack comes with colour coded ones, brown for oil side and black for the water side. Smear them in a bit of grease and then just poke them back in. And a second, use a small socket, not that one, I had it, so this will do. Drive it all the way down. There's a the bottom here, which is a sign of if there is an issue. Here is the weep hole, which mine was just packed full of grease. It's a good sign, nothing's been weeping out. And it just say to repack it with grease. There you go, it's squashed in and it is flush to the surface. It's a nice tight fit through that. Okay, that side. Now washer on. As it fits over. Pin through. And then the teeth. That's just going to click back on somehow. Click on. I'm going to do it like that. Give it a force. There we go. So that's it. It's just going to be a case of refitting now. New propeller in. Hopefully this is going to last. The old one wasn't giving me any problems, but just to be on the safe side, By the way, the bike has done 30,000 miles now, and that's the wear in this case, which apparently it's quite extreme. I don't know whether it has been changed before, impossible for me to tell. Now it's time to refit the cover. We have a nice new gasket. Not so sure it is actually required. The old one was in quite good nick condition. Came off in one piece, but I have purchased it, so it's going to be used. Give it a little bit of oil. There we go. Some little guide dowels here for it to hold it on. Important to get this facing backwards, so then it mates up with the whatever this is, spindle here. The water pump, the gear selector, and the clutch, all to line up together. Everything in a wiggle. There we go. Everything feels like it's engaged. Bolt up and that'll hold it in place for a moment. Okay, as I go, I'm going to put some Loctite on. So I'll get that, clean up the bolts, and it will be done. Okay, that's it. We got the new clutch plates, friction plates installed. And we've also got a new water pump going on with a new gasket seal around the whole casing there, and then we've got the casing back on, all roughly torqued up. Just need to get the clutch cable, arm and gear lever back on there. Okay, so turns out I didn't need to fully remove this lever, or at all remove this lever, and it's probably going to bite me in the ass because I'm not really sure how much or where it needs to relocate. The spindle's moved, so we do have a little bit of an issue with that. Okay, so I've mounted it so that it is as far back as it will go if you try to get it a tooth back towards the bike. So, in that direction you can't because of the frame here, and it kind of looks like it's about right. And it's okay, so I'm going to top up the oil now. Good idea, go check what oil came out and how much needs to go back in. I think I'm looking at about 2.5 litres. Okay, so top the oil up, top the coolant back up, everything's done up that needs to be done up. Not fully rebuilt it because I plan to give it a bloody good clean. So let's give it a test fire. And as I said, it's very oily, very smoky, very loud. But I got the fan on in the back there, And the garage door is now open, so let's see what happens. Neutral, those tools off. There we go, it's working. Don't have anything else, but the clutch doesn't feel right, needs tensioning up or something. It's there. We'll see. Okay. So it's a new day and back on the bike. Give it a good clean up and cleaned all the oil and the antifreeze, dribbled out everywhere. Cleaned all the mud off so I could see if there's any issues. And you can see we've got the pipe here. Cable tied it to a few of the other water hoses. I've had the engine running a few times. After retightening these bottom hose clamps, I seem to have no leakage at all, and the coolant seems to be doing fine. Yeah, so see how we get on. Just need to give it a bit more of a clean, so I missed some spots, and then rebuild it, and then we'll go for a test ride. Any problems, I'll let you know.